Heyo, welcome in. CHGO presents Big Ten After Dark, powered by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome in to Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. That's my partner in degeneracy, Cody Delmendo. You can follow him on Twitter at Cody_CHGO. That's Greg Braggs. You can find him in the stands, LOL. And in that box, he's our Purdue expert. You can follow Braggs on Twitter.
Or with Brick Juice.
At GBraggs Jr. 23.
Or with Zach Edey.
What?
Or with Zach Edey.
Again, you're rubbing shoulders with the elite of the elite in the college basketball world. Our guy Gary Ross hanging out with us in the chat. If you are hanging out with us, make sure to hit the thumbs up on the video. We really do appreciate it. We're getting closer and closer to 25,000 subscribers. No, we're over 25. Okay.
We're at like 25.5 right now.
Okay,
We're almost at 26.
We're almost at 26. Let's go.
That math checks out.
And Gary asking, why is there a picture of Illinois? Why is the title Illinois? Again, it's CHGO Sports. It's in Illinois. Illinois versus Northwestern.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it should have been a Northwestern player.
Well, hey, maybe. We will talk a little bit about...
I did not decide the thumbnail. I never decide the thumbnail.
We were talking about it today, or at least Kevin and Herb and you were, and then I overheard you guys, but they were talking about the 94 season, and Kevin was talking about going to every single Wildcat football game in 94 and being there, except for the game against Miami, Ohio, where they lost. They started naming all the players from Northwestern football. And it's like their peak year, like the best of the best. And the only name I remember is Pat Fitzgerald. And it's just because he's the current coach. Northwestern athletics is nothing. Like, there are no Northwestern fans. I have never met a Northwestern fan who's a non-alum. Do you know any?
Well, my guy, Dom Frederick, who's a big part of Cubs Twitter, he didn't go to Northwestern, but he does live in Evanston, and he is a huge Cats fan. He's been texting me a lot about the Cats lately.
Did Carm go to Northwestern?
No, he went to Iowa.
That sounds
He went to
right.
Iowa.
Yeah.
There's one.
But, the paycheck, right?
Yeah, right. Like, he's on Northwestern radio. I think that's why he's a big fan of them. Probably gets some free merch every now and then. That probably helps.
I've seen him rocking it. I mean, it's nice. I'm not a big fan of purple, so, I'd never wear it, but,
I like purple. I'd wear purple. Before we get into the kitty cats here, let's check in with the fan bases. Gary Ross, obviously bragging about his sandwich bet here. He's beaten his team, at least Indiana's beaten Purdue and now Illinois. But the vibe check I've gotten from Illinois fans, Cody, is that it wasn't that bad of a loss. The one in Champaign was probably worse.
Yeah, they lost on Saturday, and I was actually just more upset about the loss against Penn State. Because going into the game against Indiana the night before, John Rothstein tweets that Terrence Shannon Jr. isn't going to play on Saturday. So I'm like, there goes all hope I had to win that game. And then they only lost by 3. And, I don't know. Maybe they blew the game. Maybe they didn't. I just thought Indiana played better defense in the second half. Matthew Mayer got a little cold. They couldn't make a 3 in the second half. I think they did everything they could to win that game, but I think not having Shannon at the end of it at least kind of made a difference. But I'm not using that as an excuse. It's hard to beat IU on their home court this year, and it just sucks. I'm more upset about the loss against Penn State. I came on the set last Tuesday and was like, I'll take Illinois minus 10 if I could right now. And then they got blown out. Like I couldn't do anything but just kind of laugh when I was at home watching it because I did not. Jalen Pickett put up 40 points in that game. He went 15 for 20 from the field. The way he played, Penn State would have beat anyone that night, in my opinion. So whatever. My hopes are dead on anything related to the Big Ten regular season championship. When Purdue lost to Northwestern, it kind of opened the door. If Illinois would have been able to maybe win 6 of their final 7 games, they lose to Penn State and they lost to IU. It's done. So at this point now, all I care about is Big Ten tournament seeding. I care about finishing the season strong. They beat Minnesota last night, which is nothing like as far as tournament resume or anyone buying into, the course being changed. I guess just as an Illini fan, I mean, compared to what we've seen the last 3 years, I guess the season's been a little bit of a disappointment. They've been in the top 3 of the Big Ten at the end of each year. They should have won the Big Ten tournament should have won the Big Ten regular season championship the year after COVID, but because of Kevin Warren and his stupid technicalities, they didn't. They won the Big Ten last year because Nebraska beat someone on the final day of the year and they were able to go and beat Iowa at home. And now this year, I'm not going to have that. And the way that I look at college basketball, yeah, of course, I want to see Illinois get to the second weekend. That's like the big thing with Illini fans this year is like, can Brad Underwood get to the second weekend? But at the same time, good coaches and good programs and at the D1 level, they're all built off winning their conference and consistently getting to the NCAA tournament year in and year out. Brad Underwood's doing half of that, but one Big Ten regular season championship. I thought with the roster coming into this year, they would have a good chance. Sky Clark, that whole idea was a complete failure, unfortunately, and I'm not blaming that on him. I'm not blaming that on Underwood. I think that just has to do with the fact that this is, at the end of the day, this is still college athletics.
It's the facts. I mean, he just didn't work out. He's
just
not
didn't
at Illinois
work out.
anymore.
Yeah, right. So it is what it is. I think that if Sky Clark would have lived up to any kind of expectations that we had for him, which were high, Illinois would probably have a few more wins. I would assume if things would have gone the way that we had thought. So that's where I'm at. At the same time, like Illinois it's not like they're a bad team. They're not a great team. They're probably a team that, like if they can get hot in March, like a lot of random teams do, maybe they can go the second weekend. But right now, this is a team that in 5 years, if you ask me about it, I'll probably have to go back and look at the roster and just kind of look, oh, those guys were here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Like, this isn't going to be a memorable team, unfortunately. And it has been the last 3 years, especially, they have been memorable teams. So I guess that's what I'm more bummed about their team this year. It's just they're just fine. They're whatever they are. They go out there and play. That's it.
Sean, you asked for a vibe check, and we've gone into a full meltdown therapy session here with Cody.
I'm not in meltdown therapy. So I've accepted the fact that they are what they are. I mean, I don't know.
Cody, I mean, all right. They didn't live up to the preseason expectations. IU and Indiana were preseason favorites to win the Big Ten. No, that didn't happen. Yeah, losing Sky Clark and the hype behind him and not, him coming through hurts. But it's not over for you guys. The season, you still have goals you can attain. The Big Ten tournament is going to be fantastic. I'm going to try to be there every day because these teams are so evenly matched across the board in the Big Ten, with the exception of Minnesota, who can come up and bite you, by the way, but more than likely the only team that you're not worried about in this tournament. Aside from that, it's going to be a bloodbath in this tournament. Anybody can come out of it. That'll help your seeding in the March Madness tournament, depending on how far you can get. And I also feel like with Jaden Epps and Ty Rodgers here lately, you've started to find something with those guys. And, hey, you've had a lot of hype with these teams the last 3 years, and it didn't result in a Sweet 16 appearance, right? I mean, it's a little bit of bad luck. You run into the wrong team. Purdue certainly knows all about that. That's how the tournament works. But now you're starting to find guys that are growing into bigger roles. Like I said, with Jaden Epps, he dropped 17 last night. He's making a difference. It'll be interesting to see how they play against Northwestern on Thursday. As a Purdue fan, obviously, I'm certainly rooting for Illinois to win that game at home to help our Big Ten title hopes. But it was just funny to see you go through that entire. We're here for you, Cody. It's okay. And hey, maybe as hyped as you were these last few years, and the season ended, with disappointment. Maybe this is the year you guys break through to get to the Sweet 16. It only takes 2 wins to get to the Sweet 16. And if you get your Terrence Shannon back, and now you've got some of these young guys playing well. RJ Melendez has been playing well lately too. Danger has been a force down low. Matthew Mayer did everything in his power to beat Indiana at Indiana. Of course, in that game, you said you had no expectations going into the game, and then they played just good enough to get your hopes up at the end. And mine too, obviously. I was also rooting for Illinois to take down Gary Ross's Indiana Hoosiers because Gary's in the chat being extra chirpy as man, I just Gary's starting to become like my number one target, when it comes to hoping for disappointment.
Yeah.
This guy, he's eating way too many sandwiches off us on this show.
I didn't send him $20 though. I sent him $12.50. Because I was like, you could get a sandwich and a bag of chips with this.
That's the thing. I mean, that's actually pretty nice of you. He said his sandwich spot's Subway. And as we know, it's $5 for a footlong. So you technically did buy him 2 sandwiches there, and probably a little macadamia nut cookie. Who doesn't like that? You gonna be in Chicago, Brick?
What happened?
For the Big Ten tournament? You said you're gonna be there every day.
I mean, I've applied for credentials. I mean, I've been credentialed for Purdue games all year, so I'm hoping that transfers over for the Big Ten tournament so I can go for free. But even if they don't give me credentials, I will be going to the Big Ten tournament right down the street from our studios. Mark Carmen will be there, making Cody go with me. You're going to, Sean. It's going to be a great weekend for betting. Let's get it going. I'm certainly excited for the Big Ten tournament.
So Jake Flanagan
in Chicago in years, because the COVID year they did it in Indianapolis,
right?
And last year it was in Indianapolis, right? It was in Indianapolis. I believe
so. It's the first time it's back in Chicago in a while.
Right, and it normally always rotates. So it's been a while since it's been at Chicago. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. No, so I actually put in days to be off for the Big Ten tournament. And Jake Flanagan, if you're watching, I need to talk to you because I will gladly not take those days off if we want to go and do content
you work
for
in
the
sports.
Right. Well, I was either going to take the days off to just go and enjoy it and not have to work there while I'm there, or just go and do content. So Jake, let me know.
Hit him up.
Well, that's my backup plan. If they deny my credentials for my notorious podcast, Brags in the Stands, then yes, my backup plan is to reapply through CHGO. So, maybe we'll have to do that together to see if they deny my credentials.
I've never been to the Big Ten tournament. That's something that I want to do, and with it being right down the street from here, I absolutely want to go. So, should be a lot of fun here in the next 3 weeks or so. So
getting closer. March 8th to the 12th. So, hey, it'd be great to see Brick back in Chicago. Let's take a quick break, let you know about DraftKings Sportsbook. We got Gary's IU Hoosiers tonight against Michigan State. I think Cody's got a pretty decent read on this game. We'll talk about that in a second. We got some bets for you tonight. I'm currently sweating some college baseball. That's what I've been betting on DraftKings Sportsbook. You can download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. New customers, when you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. We're sweating out right now. Campbell versus ECU. The Pirates have a 5-4 lead over the Campbells. Yeah, the Camels of Campbell. The Campbells. That's a mouthful. They're in North Carolina, as Cody let me know earlier. But that's only a 1-run game. Stetson's down 3-0 to Miami. Come on, Hatters. Right now, California Baptist finally got a base runner on a throwing error. They're being no hit by Oklahoma State. Thankfully, it's 0-0. So Cal Baptist, you just need a run, baby. You just need a run. And Charlotte Baseball tied 5-5 with Clemson. So if you do want to check out any of my college baseball plays, I am sharing them as fast as I can with our Discord people. So check that out and bet on it, obviously, with DraftKings Sportsbook. Sportsbook, one of the few, if not the only betting books that has baseball lines, college baseball lines each and every day, consistently posted. Very fun to be able to take advantage of that market. So definitely download DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code CHGO when you sign up. See show notes for more details and call 1-800-GAMBLER when you sign up. All right, I already know Cody's take on this game, so we'll go to Greg first. Indiana at Michigan, number 14 ranked Hoosiers. Michigan State's first game since the shooting on campus as well.
Actually, they're second. They lost.
Is it?
They lost to Michigan,
but that was at
Saturday.
Michigan.
It was at Michigan. It's the first home game.
So first home game since
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're all
okay.
good.
Yeah,
first game at Michigan State. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy to play at the Breslin Center. Obviously, they're playing with heavy hearts. You know, they already did go through one game. They almost upset Michigan. You know, Indiana's playing as good a basketball as any, as Gary will incessantly tell you in the chat. And they are. They're grinding out wins. They easily could have lost to Michigan, easily could have lost to Illinois, but they didn't. They're in the last 6-7 years, they would find every way to lose a game. And this year, more times than not, they're finding ways to win, albeit short of the Northwestern game, which, I mean, at the end of the day, let's face it, Boo Buie pushed off Trey Galloway on the final buzzer beater shot to win in regulation, or else that game goes to overtime. And if it does, IU likely wins that game as well. So, you know, I mean, Michigan State's always going to be the favorite at their house. But as someone that's rooting for Michigan State tonight to help Purdue out in this quest for a Big Ten title, I don't feel good about it. I think IU is clearly the better team. At the end of the day, it comes down to Jalen Hood-Schifino. Trace Jackson-Davis is going to get his no matter what. He's been just as dominant as Zach Edey over these last 8 weeks. Zach's been doing it all year, but Trace has turned it up a notch, certainly during Big Ten play. So he's going to get his. But the future first-round NBA pick, you know, some point in the first round, I think Jalen Hood-Schifino will be taken in the NBA draft. It all comes down to him because he's up and down as a freshman. He's extremely talented, can make a shot from anywhere on the court, starting to build good chemistry with Trace Jackson-Davis on the pick and roll and, you know, the passing game when it comes to that. So, you know, how he does on the road is going to be key for them to win another tough road game on in the Big Ten, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. If I had to pick one, I don't know what is the spread because I would be taking IU.
The spread is 3.
And I would be taking IU. It's going to be close, or in my opinion, IU wins this outright.
So yesterday, Sean took TCU. He faded himself, and it didn't work out for him.
Bill Self's like 40-20 or something ridiculous, as a underdog or
something like that. So, and I took Kansas as a road dog.
Oh, revenge games. It was revenge games. It's like 40-20.
I have Michigan State in my parlay that I put in the Discord. I tweeted it out like a half hour ago to win, and it's not an official play for me, but if I were to bet that game, I'm taking Michigan State, not only because of the first home game after the emotional trauma of that shooting, but also that this is more sportsbook shenanigans. IU should absolutely be a road favorite in this matchup, in my opinion. They are far and away better than Michigan State. So that's one reason why I'm not betting this game, because I, too, want to take IU on the spread or outright because of the plus money brags. But last week, and here's an example of sportsbook shenanigans. Last week, Tennessee was a 3-point favorite against number 1 Alabama at home. And, at Alabama, I believe. I believe it was Alabama. I don't know. Either way, they were 3-point favorites against Alabama, number 1 Alabama. I believe Alabama was on the road.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Tennessee was the 3-point favorite.
Yes.
And you look at that and you're like, well, Alabama's the number 1 team in the country. They've been playing better than Tennessee over the last 10 games. And what happened? Tennessee won outright and they covered. So this is like, it's giving me the same vibes, and it's a different scenario in terms of like who's at home and who's away. But still, also another fact of the matter is that other than Purdue, no one can win on the road in this conference. Yeah. Like on a consistent basis, at least. So again, I'm staying away from betting this game single-handedly. But I put Michigan State to just win in my parlay because it just doesn't make any sense to me why Michigan State is a favorite in this scenario.
So Ken Pom has a score difference as, I think, 2.5. Then you can give 3 points to Michigan State. The line should basically be a pick 'em. If you want to give a point to Michigan State, that would make sense. But still, like 3 points is a lot.
Yeah.
I think I told Gary in the chat he wasn't sure how to bet it. I would take IU +3, but if you're taking Michigan State to win this, I think it could be a 2-point Michigan State win. I think this will be a close game. I really do think that there's a lot of added factors of being at home, the situation that's going on. I think people sleep on Michigan State as well. If they're able to pressure Chase Jackson Davis, this Iowa team might show its cracks. Yeah. So
and in their non-conference, they were impressive as well. Malik Hall is back. Like, they had every chance to beat Michigan in Ann Arbor over the weekend. Now they're coming home to play in this game. I don't like if IU comes in and just blows them out. Like, I'll genuinely be surprised. But again, I'm not betting this game single-handedly because the sportsbook shenanigans in this game is annoying.
If you want to talk about sportsbook shenanigans too, sorry, Braggs, just a play I want to give out too because it's still at a great price. I got them at +110, I think, then +125, and now it's at +133. +135. Number 13, Miami, Florida versus Virginia Tech. Huge on this game. I would ride with the Hurricanes. They're a fantastic team. They're rolling. Virginia Tech is on a tailspin right now. I don't think that they're even going to be showing up to this game. I don't understand why Miami's not the favorite in this game. They're a better team than Virginia Tech. In their last meeting, they won both halves, 45-44 and then 47-39. I think they out-rebounded them as well, 21-27. There's no major injuries for Miami. Miami's been fantastic this entire year. So kind of along the same lines of this, Virginia Tech is much worse than Michigan State, and I think Miami might be better than Indiana. I don't understand this at all. So go slam Miami money line.
So and if you want an actual like college basketball take on that game, as far as Michigan State and Indiana, like Indiana, they won by 3, but considering what Illinois had on that game or came into that game with Terrence Shannon Jr. out, and the amount of free throws they missed, some of the bad turnovers they had, they aren't exactly coming into this game playing red hot, perhaps like they were when we talked about them last week or even the week before. They're coming into this game, honestly, coming off there's no such thing as a bad win, but it wasn't necessarily impressive because they did go to Champaign and beat Illinois by double digits. So I don't know. That's, again, it's a weird spread, weird game.
It is impressive for them because this is the type of games they've lost so many times in the last few years. The one thing I'll say is, in regards to it being dicey for IU, is they're getting to a fatigue factor because Trace Jackson Davis is literally playing 40 minutes a game. So, he's going to have to do that again here tonight. He carries this team, and he is great, just like Zach Edey is, about staying out of foul trouble. But at the end of the day, the minutes are piling up, and that was part of the reason why Illinois kept it a game even without Terrence Shannon. So, at the end of the day, it also comes down to big man depth because Trace Jackson Davis is going to get you in foul trouble quickly. I mean, you saw it with Danger, right? He went to the bench a few times with foul trouble, and that affects the game. Right. So, you got to have guys' bodies at the very least behind them, but certainly guys that can play. And I don't really, what's his name? Sissoko for Michigan State. And then after that, I really don't know if they have the big man depth that's necessary. So you got to kind of hope that fatigue is what sets in if you're a Michigan State fan or rooting for Michigan State like I am. But I don't know. IU is red hot. Gary's enjoying life right now because IU isn't disappointing him like they have for the last 7 years. Good for him. We'll see tonight, but I certainly would lean towards IU being the favorite even on the road.
Again, I do think they are the better team. I don't understand the lines. So And the fact that I do think the books are taking the big factor that on the road Big Ten teams have just not been very good this year. Yeah. So we'll see. I think that this game will be closer than a lot of people may think from the outside. So, what other games we got tonight?
Vegas sure helps. So that's it in the Big Ten.
That's
only one Big Ten game. The next big one that we got to talk about, Illinois and Northwestern. We obviously that's the headline for this show. Northwestern, red hot, winners of 5 straight. We talked about Illinois. Just beat Minnesota.
Can't believe we've gone this long without talking about Purdue.
Nothing's really happening with Purdue.
With your therapy session to start the show, how could we? I mean, we had
whatever. You've had the therapy session the last week. We haven't even talked about you guys losing to Maryland. Shit.
And we're not going to talk about it. So let's talk about Illinois and Northwestern, Cody, because if you don't beat Northwestern on Thursday, I'm never talking to you again.
That would be bad for the show. So let's just start with Illinois and Northwestern first because it's just chronological. This game's going to happen on the 23rd. Indiana and Purdue won't play until the 25th. So we'll just go with chronological order here. 5-win streak for Northwestern. Illinois haven't been bad in their last, the form, if we want to use that soccer word. The form has been pretty decent. Ryan Torbett is asking, is Illinois the only team left that has a chance of beating Purdue this season? If Indiana beats Purdue on Sunday, no. But let's get in to this whole Northwestern thing. I mean, this is a massive game for Northwestern.
The biggest game in this in-state rivalry's history for basketball. Undoubtedly, this has to be the biggest game. I'm going to assume when the spreads come out, it's going to be 2 or 3 points, and maybe Illinois will be a favorite just because they're at home. I don't know.
Yes. No, Illinois will be the favorite. So, if you're seeing Michigan State open up as the favorite, you will see Illinois open up as the favorite, and I would honestly say it's probably 4.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because last time they met, Northwestern won by 13 points, and I think every Illinois fan doesn't think Northwestern's 13 points better than Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, when Illinois played Northwestern back in December and they lost, I was in shambles just because, I couldn't believe they lost to Northwestern. I think they had won 9 or 10 in a row against them. And at the time, no one fully had believed in Northwestern even being a tournament team. I think after they won that game, people started talking about them and were like, wow, this team could be something. So that was a statement game for Northwestern, and Illinois was figuring out their roster still. Sky Clark was still on the team. They were going through the transition of having all these transfers and guys like that. So I do think the game will be a lot different this time around. I think defense will be very prevalent because no matter where Northwestern plays, the defense travels.
Boo Buie went to the line 12 times, was 11 to 12 from the line.
He lived at the line.
Audige went 7 of 8. Yeah,
Audige had a great game. If Illinois is able to slow down Northwestern's guards half as much as that game, then they'll probably at least be in it.
Northwestern had 40 free throws. Illinois had 10.
Yes,
so being at State Farm,
remember,
being at State Farm Center probably hopefully will get you a couple more calls going your way.
They're getting some home cooking at the Welsh
better get some
Ryan
home
Arena.
cooking.
Mark Carmen's up to some dirty politics up there. There's things going on up in Evanston.
Right. So I'm looking at Northwestern's schedule right now. Right. So they just blew out Iowa. Obviously, they beat Indiana. They beat Purdue. And they went on before that on the road. They beat Ohio State and they beat Wisconsin on the road too. Their last loss on the road was at Iowa on January 31st. From experience, going to Iowa is not easy. They lost by 16 at Iowa, but then they just blew out Iowa at home. So this kind of, to me, Illinois will they'll have the home crowd, and I think that could be a big factor. That should be a big factor for them in giving at least a better performance against Northwestern this time around. Their wins against Ohio State and Wisconsin on the road in the past would have been huge because those are historically good basketball programs, but they're maybe beating Wisconsin in Madison is impressive, but beating Ohio State on the road this year is really not that impressive. They went to Nebraska and won. I know it's hard to win there, but you you look at their schedule, they don't have a huge, outside of beating Indiana at IU back on January 8th. That's probably their biggest road win of the year. So, they're coming off. Illinois coming off a win against Minnesota, a team that they should beat. They covered the spread. They got the home crowd, and they still need at least, in my opinion, they still need at least one or two more quad one wins. And this would be a good quad one win for them to boost the resume. I can't believe me saying them being Northwestern would be a great quad resume builder, but it is
25 team.
Yeah, they're a top 25. I'm giving them all the flowers, man. It's been impressive. It's been fun to watch, even as an Illini fan, watching them shock the world the way that they have. So to me, when I watch Northwestern, it's their defense that does it, and their two guards, Adige and Bowie. I think Illinois is a little bit more athletic. I think they play a little bit faster, and if they're able to play at their tempo and utilize Dane Danger the way that I know that they can, and they can make – if they are able to actually make shots from the outside like they did against Minnesota, I think they run away in this game. But they haven't really been able to shoot the three ball on a consistent basis all season. So that's kind of a toss-up. So –
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly nervous because, you got Jaden Epps, who's a freshman, right? And Ty Rogers, physical guy, but a freshman, right? And Boo Buie and Chase Adige are seniors, and they're on fire right now, especially Boo Buie. Somebody's got to make Northwestern make somebody else beat them on that team but Boo Buie, because right now Boo Buie is just tearing everyone to shreds. He had 12 free throws the last time he faced you. I mean, I worry about what he's going to do. I mean, you got to think there's a law of averages at stake with Northwestern. They're so ridiculously hot. What goes up must come down. But at the same time, I can't really depend on that when you just look at it on its surface with the way Northwestern's playing. Defense certainly travels. They played great defense all season long. They haven't had really many lapses when it comes to that. And, Illinois is always seeming to be like having to find themselves offensively in games, because they haven't had much continuity, and they've had injuries and transfers and everything else of that nature. So, Matthew Mayer is certainly starting to turn it up a notch. You're seeing an emergence of the freshman, and RJ Melendez, a solid sophomore, and different things. But yeah, it's a must win for Illinois in a lot of ways. So I like that. Wasn't a dominating win against Minnesota, but enough to get them back in the win column and get their confidence and their energy in the right place, because this is such a huge game. And you say it's the biggest, in-state rivalry game ever between these two. It's also by far and away, every game Northwestern plays for the rest of this year is the biggest game they've ever played in their program history. So they're going to always come out with that energy, and they have a chance to have a share of the Big Ten title, or God forbid, a chance to win the Big Ten title outright if Purdue doesn't take care of their own business here. So it's certainly interesting to see. I will be rooting on Illinois hard, but that's, again, another game just like tonight where, if you put me against the wall and made me choose, I'm going to take the team that's been more consistent and played stronger and has the kind of lineup that you need to win games, like this on the road. So as crazy as it sounds, I'd be leaning Northwestern, but by golly, Illinois better show up and do something.
I'll take Illinois. You just look at Northwestern and their ability to shoot from the outside. I just think if a team was only shoot from the outside, just basically Syracuse them, just play a zone defense and force you to work from the outside, maybe that would show some of Northwestern's cracks, because you look at their three-point percentage when they win. If they're under 33%, they usually lose the game. The only game that they lost and were above 33% was Rutgers. And Rutgers in that game, they went 10 of 27, 37% for three. Great numbers there, but only went to the line 18 times and shot 55%. So it's really just make them shoot from the outside, because I just don't think they're good enough to beat you from deep, and they'll beat you 40 times off the dribble driving to the bucket.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Northwestern's going to the free throw line 40 times again this time.
No.
I lean Illinois just because I think they're more athletic and have a little bit more depth. Because like what Bragg said, like they haven't had to rely on anyone else because Bowie and Audige have been red hot. But, defense travels, but players' performance doesn't always travel on the road in those types of scenarios. So while, that is the biggest program or biggest game in Northwestern's history, like Bragg said, I do think that Illinois, maybe this is the revenge game that I've been asking for, because I thought last week the game against Penn State was a big revenge game where they were going to get back, against Penn State, and it didn't happen because Jalen Pickett had the game of his life. I think keeping Northwestern off the free throw line 40 times will be enough for Illinois to at least sneak it out. I think it'll be close, though. This is going to be probably the most fun game between Illinois and Northwestern that I've ever watched.
And Ryan asked, did you just ask Brad Underwood team to play zone? That's hilarious. Hey, that he's the Illinois guy. I was just throwing out a suggestion.
They're not going to play zone, but
doesn't have to be Illinois. It could be whoever you want. I'm just saying, if you're looking to beat Northwestern, I wouldn't be surprised if a team tried to play a zone, because I think that their 3-point shooting is a weakness. That's all. I'm not acting to be an expert here with Illinois. Let's go to Purdue. Greg, you're an expert. You're wearing the hoodie. What's up? How's the temperature? As Cody mentioned, you lost 2 straight to Northwestern, and Maryland were able to get back to the winning ways in the last game against Ohio State, smoked them in Mackey. But as Gary has been, chirping at you, IU beats Purdue at Mackey on Saturday. What's that rematch looking like? What's the temperature looking like? And Big Ten standing wise, I mean, Northwestern's 1.5 games back. Indiana's 2.5 games back. Would you feel really solid about the regular season championship if you just put away Indiana on Saturday?
Yeah, of course. And Gary needs to focus on tonight's game before he starts worrying about Saturday. If you're gonna look ahead, maybe you will slip up tonight, Gary. It's all about mentality. But for Purdue, for them to get back in the win column on Sunday was huge against Ohio State, and in the dominating fashion they did. They didn't play with their food. They took care of business and they had Ohio State down 30 with a couple minutes to go before they brought in the reserves. And that was just what the doctor ordered after losing 3 of 4 all road games that they lost. And now they have 3 of 4 home games to finish, the first one being against Ohio State, which they won. So now you got home game against IU and then a home game to end the season against Illinois, with Wisconsin on the road snuggled in between that. So, I'm not taking anything for granted at this point. I mean, I feel decent about them winning the Big Ten title. Their magic number is at 3. So if Northwestern were to lose to Illinois on Thursday, then it's down to 2. And then if Purdue takes care of business on Saturday, they, could essentially have a chance to have it completely wrapped up. But, no givens on Saturday. Indiana's become a very tough matchup. When Purdue was dominating them for like 9 straight games, in the rivalry, it was starting to become kind of easy money to play the Hoosiers. And now all of a sudden Mike Woodson has got that program turned around. And the last 2 years, it's been nothing but easy for Purdue when they take on the Hoosiers. So I expect it to be extremely close on Saturday night. One of those Saturday primetime hoops games on Fox. It's going to be a lot of fun at Mackey Arena, and we'll just have to wait and see. But, it's at home, so you feel better about Purdue's chances. But, when you have these teams that have athletic guards that can put pressure on Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, that creates problems. Trace Jackson-Davis and Zach Edey essentially wash each other out, with their production. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes down. Luckily for Purdue, they had a pretty sizable lead in the Big Ten to afford a few slip-ups here and maybe still win this thing outright, or at the very least a share. But if I have to watch my Purdue Boilermakers share a Big Ten title with Northwestern, I might jump into Lake Michigan. So
I had to watch Illinois share it with Wisconsin last year, and Wisconsin was supposed to be a bottom Big Ten team last year.
And that was what was interesting, because I was at the Wisconsin game when they won the share of it, and they stormed the court and they brought the podium out, the stage out on the court and celebrated as if they had won the Big Ten title for the regular season. And then they lost to Nebraska. I believe.
Shout
And
out
that
to
was,
the
Nebraska's a much
Cornhuskers.
tougher team this year, but to lose to them last year was egregious, which then all of a sudden opened the door back up. And then, now Illinois wins a Big Ten title of a share of it, and now they're celebrating. So it would have been interesting to see if Purdue would have celebrated in the same fashion for only a share of it and not the outright Big Ten title. So I don't know if that's even possible. It actually is possible, I think, if I'd have to look at the numbers, but I'm not sure if it's possible or not for them to win a share on Saturday with the way the numbers are here the rest of the way. But regardless, it'll be interesting to. I feel good about it. And the thing I mentioned with losing 3 or 4, I mean, maybe this was my coping mechanism, but at the same time, like with these young guards, for 2 freshman guards that have been a big impact on this team, they hadn't faced any adversity all season long at 22-1. And, you get to this point in the year, you get to the Big Ten tournament and the March Madness tournament, maybe some of this adversity will help prepare them for some tougher games down the road. But we'll have to wait and see. But, I think some teams have started to show a recipe for how you beat Purdue. If you full court press them, and make them take a minute to get across the half court line, it takes them longer to get into their offensive sets, which creates turnovers. So there's a recipe out there, but Zach Edey is always going to make it hard on any team. You can have all the recipes and the game plans and strategies you want, but good luck trying to stop the big man and future national player of the year, because that was the other thing I was getting nervous about was Trace Jackson Davis starting to close the gap on that award, and I was pretty sure Trace Jackson Davis is plus money if you want to put on money on it right now for him to win National Player of the Year. And I certainly thought they were close, but Zach Edey dropping 26 and 11 in 25 minutes of play on Sunday, I think kind of, it's starting to put that whole theory to bed.
So I'll say on Saturday against Indiana, I like Purdue to get revenge against their rival in IU. We talked about when they played last time how Indiana was going to play in the game beforehand. It turned into a trap game for them in which they lost before going to that game. Now they got Michigan State tonight. We're going to see what happens. Will it be a trap game for them or not? So I just think that obviously the game is going to be close, but you just haven't seen a lot of road wins for teams in the Big Ten, man. You just haven't. Like the ones that have they've come to and far in between, or whatever that term is, and
few and far between.
Well,
and
they haven't
you look at Purdue against Indiana. I mean, this might just flip. I mean, you might split it home and home, and there you go.
And like their win against Ohio State, it's kind of like how Illinois beat Minnesota. I mean, that's how bad Ohio State's been in the Big Ten this season. So they got back in the win column, got themselves feeling good again. Now they got this game against Indiana coming up.
Yes,
and that game against Maryland, they were right there. They led and then just completely fell apart. But Maryland undefeated at home this year. That crowd really ignited them. I remember in the second half they were up 8-9 points. Braggs, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then Maryland called timeout. Next thing you know, Maryland's going on this huge run. Not only take the lead, I live bet Purdue plus 8.5, and that was a dumb idea. And they end up losing by double digits because of. I mean, I really do think like that road, like being that in a road environment like the Purdue was in that game. Maryland was making everything. Once they got the crowd behind them and they got some confidence. So I feel like that same type of scenario is going to happen for Purdue on Saturday against IU. It's very, very hard to go into Mackey Arena.
And the other aspect of that Maryland beatdown, which was the first beatdown that Purdue had all year, I think there was some layover frustrations from the Northwestern game because the officiating became a big talking point, not just with Purdue fans, but a lot of fans, even Gary and his IU fans, were mad after they left Welsh Ryan Arena and lost to Northwestern. And I think Purdue kind of still went into Maryland way too focused on the officiating. Mason Gillis picks up a technical foul, which leads to a 26-2 run in the second half because Purdue had a 7-point lead, believe it or not, in the second half. And all of a sudden it went blitzkrieg on them after the technical foul. So I think there was some frustration lay over there. And I think after that game, Matt Painter, I think in a private room, told his team, stop crying about the refs and start focusing on what you can control. And I think you saw that attitude come out Sunday against Ohio State. And it was actually really funny being in the stands. The Mackey Arena crowd was not going to let the officiating off the hook on any little call, losing their mind. And it is something, if you just watch Zach Edey, I know there's some fans on the other side of the tracks that want to say he gets away with things, but if you focus in on him before he gets the ball on offense, you got guys shoving him, putting their knee up his ass and trying to push him out as far from the rim and doing things that are not legal. On rebounds, holding his arm down constantly. I mean, he's getting mauled. And I think Purdue fans are at a point where they're not going to allow that stuff to go on at their arena. And so you'll see more of that on Saturday. I found it really interesting. I did think that the fans had an effect on the officiating, calling it a little tighter. So we'll see. But to clarify on the magic numbers, Purdue's magic number to share a title with Northwestern is down to 2. And to share a Big Ten title with IU, it's down to 1. And to eliminate Northwestern, it's 3. And to eliminate IU, it's 2. And yes, there is 8-way tie scenarios still out there, which is insane to think about. But, to keep it simple, if Northwestern loses on Thursday, Purdue can clinch a share of the Big Ten title and eliminate IU on Saturday. So a lot on the line at Mackey Arena Saturday night. I can't wait to be there.
Yeah, that'd be a good game.
Exciting, and it's a great time to be a college basketball fan. We're getting closer and closer to March Madness, folks, and we're getting closer and closer to Big Ten tournament time. Only about 3 or 4 games left for these teams in these programs, so it should be a fun rest and close of the season for Big Ten After Dark. That's Cody Delmendo. You can follow him on Twitter at Cody_CHGO. That's Greg Braggs. You can follow him on Twitter at Braggs, at GBraggsJr23. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Shout out to our guy Gary, who was mad at me because VT had a lead. Miami leads 22-19. So basketball is a fickle sport, my friend. It could change at any second in the matter of moments. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you, Stephen Nicholas, for producing the show. And we'll talk to you tomorrow when we are millionaires.